Today we're going to get some caulking on this, and we're going to get some paint on this wood. It's been far too long. It's been 12 days now since I've been here. This side of this shed has been, that wood's been on there for getting close to 25 days now with no paint on it. I need to get paint on it. I've got some backer rod I'm going to be using. I've got some small, some medium, and I have some large. I'm going to be using my spatula, and I'm going to be using my caulk removing tool. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Dierdorf and this is Detroit DIY. Let's get some caulk in. I have some gaps here and along here that I need to caulk, but this gap is far too big and far too deep just to try and fill it with caulk. And the best thing that you can do is put a backer rod in here. I tried the medium rod and it went in there okay, but it was a little bit loose. And what I want is for this to fit in there nice and tight. Then you can just use the spatula or a screwdriver or something like that and kind of poke it in. And you still want to get, you know, a good 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch of caulk in there. You want to make sure you have enough space to get a good bead of caulk so that it can adhere to everything around it. So any gaps that I have, I'm going to figure out what size backer rod I need, and I'm going to tuck it in there. I'm going to be using DAP caulk. It's for paint projects. It's a 40-year caulk, and it's a good caulk. It'll hold up and last a long time. And I'm also going to be using my squeegee for this part of it. Let's get some caulk in. I want to make sure I put plenty in because I'm going to remove some. So I'm not worried about appearance, I just want to make sure that there's plenty of caulk here. Alright, with that done, we're going to use our squeegee and we're just going to come through and we're going to clean it up real nice. Just like that. Any of this excess, I have a little peeling paint right here I want to knock off. Any of this excess, I'm going to just go ahead and put it right here. Get a nice seal going right there. Clean my spatula off, a little tidy up. There we have it. That part is complete. Next I want to do underneath the fascia board and the soffit, and then I'm going to do up against the wall. I'm going to start right here on the siding, and then before I move the ladder I'll come back and do this side. Now that I've got it in, I just want to take my caulk removal tool and come through and clean that off. Give me a nice crisp edge. I'll come back in a minute and clean up in the grooves of the T1-11 and anything like this that's been left. Now with just the side of the tool, I want to go through and clean off anything that got left behind, any little buildup or any squeeze out that got left behind. Get that off. Now for these grooves, I'm just going to use my little finger. I'm going to get up in here and just smooth things out a little bit. Now that I've got that done, I want to go through here and get this taken care of. Ooh. That's going to be tough. Little mess up there. Now the exact same thing, we're just going to come through, push it in there real nice, get any extra out. So I also want to touch up where the screws are, so I'm just going to put a little bit of this right there, and I'll come back with my squeegee and get it. I just want to go ahead and clean up this edge a little bit right here, and then this I'm going to get with the squeegee. Work it in that screw the best I can. There we go. And then the same thing here. This is my seam. If you watch the video where we installed, this is in two pieces, and this is where the seam is. The caulking under here is complete. It's starting to get a little dark on us. It's getting a little later in the evening. Everything here is done. I am really happy with what we've got. After all, it's just a shed. Any of these bigger gaps up here in the T1-11 is just fine, because there's a 2x4 back there, so you don't need to use backer rod. The other end is finished. Now we're going to get caulked around the window, and I got a couple voids to fill. Let's check that out. Right here and right here I have some voids. As you can see, they filled this at the factory with wood filler or whatever they use, but not all of it got filled. So I want to go ahead and fill that in, but I want to be careful and not make a big mess of things, because I want the texture of the wood to remain. So I'm just going to put a little bit on here and then use my spatula and smooth it out. Now I'll just take the spatula and come through and try and keep it as thin as I can keep it so that I retain the texture. There we go. And I've got the same thing going on here, just a little bit. So I want to go ahead and also get that filled in. I'm going to do the exact same thing. And maybe a little bit here. Now that these cracks are filled in, the only thing I have left is to caulk around this window. I use screws to hold it in. If you'd watched the video, you'd know that I made the trim right onto the window, and I did that for just this reason. So what I want to do is just put a little bit of caulk right in these screw holes and get them covered up. I'm going to take my squeegee and just pull off any extra, make sure it's pushed in there good. Just like that. And there we have it. Now I need to caulk up underneath the window, and I'm going to do that the same way that I did the soffit basically. I'm going to get my tip all nice and cleaned off so that I can see what angle it's pointing, and we are ready to go. So I'm just going to come under here and lay me a bead of caulk. Same thing here, fill in it the grooves. Then I'll just use my caulk removal tool and I'll come through here and get it cleaned up. And I want to kind of control how much goes on the siding. As it starts to get overloaded, I'll clean it off. What I mean by control how much goes on the siding, I'm holding it more where the spoon is like this so that the caulking will go up on the smoother surface where it's easier to clean it off of. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did over there. Just take my finger and clean out these valleys, making sure that I push adequate caulk up into the window so that it's nice and sealed. The bottom of this won't be as important as the top. There we go. This one was a little too narrow for me to get my finger in. This is where the two pieces come together. I'm going to go ahead and get this window finished up, and tomorrow we're going to start painting. For those of you that watched my video how to install T1-11 siding by yourself, I'll put a link right up above in case you didn't see it. I cut all of this out and I put some extra wood in here to support everything because it's sandwiched in. So I have a little bit of time before I have to paint this. I have to be in Illinois tomorrow night, so I've got to rock on. But I'm going to go ahead and get these new pieces installed before I paint, and then I can get some caulking in here and hopefully this can dry. I put this back on just because it was going to rain, so I just threw the old stuff back on and got it covered up. I managed to take this off in one piece, well, without breaking it two pieces, so that I can be able to use it as a template to put my new stuff on. Alright, I'm going to get this last piece off and then we'll get some cut, and I'll show you how to do that because we want everything to line up perfectly. I cut this piece from the other side, and I'm doing this to make my life easy. I screwed it up. It did not line up right, and there was no way I could fix it. However, since both sides are very close to being the same, it is going to be pretty much what I need right here. So what I'm going to do is just mark the grooves on here with my pencil, so that I can lay it out and line it up with the grooves on the other piece of wood before I cut it. Now, obviously, you may not have this, and you don't really want to screw up, so I'm going to show you what else you can do. What I have here is the piece that I cut out, and my intentions were all along to use this as a template. I took my time taking it off so that I didn't destroy it, and we can fit that in here just like this. Once we got it fit in there and we know where it needs to be, we can then just go ahead and draw on here, make our marks where the grooves are going to be, so that we can lay this out on top of the new, line up these marks with the grooves, and trace out our pattern. I have my two older pieces set on here. Now you can see they didn't do it in 4-foot sections. They did it in small pieces and a little bit bigger pieces. So I've got some overhang. So what I want to do at this point in time is line up those marks that I made right here. Let me go to the other side where we can get better lighting. Here are the pencil marks that I made. I want to line them up with this groove in the wood right here. Here they are again, lined up nicely, and here we are again. Now all I need to do is trace that on there and cut it out. There is one more thing I need to do here before I pull this off and cut my piece out, and I need to mark it. As you can see, I have a line across here. This is the overhang, or the very edge of my next piece of wood, so I know exactly how much of this I have to use on the next piece. My line doesn't come all the way down to the edge, so I'm not positive where to start with my saw. So I just want to get this level lined up on here, use it as a straight edge, and complete this line down across the edge. Here's the moment of truth. If this was a house or a different structure than this shed, I would put a piece of flashing here, sometimes called Z channel. What it would do is come up behind this piece of T1-11 across the top of this and down the edge of it a little bit to prevent moisture from getting in behind this piece. I'm going to be putting a trim piece on here and caulking it to give it the look that it had before, just fresh and new. perfect alignment and a nice fit. I'm gonna get this nailed on. I'm going to finish nailing that, get the next piece cut. The next piece is easy, it'll just fall right into place. I don't have to worry about alignment. Get it caulked and we'll be ready for paint. We are ready to start getting some paint on. I'm going to be using this Royal paint from Ace Hardware. This is high hiding exterior white, and I'm going to get a coat on this brand new fascia board. And underneath in the back side, everything else will be the color, the Cobalt, Canyon Cobalt it's called. It's from Lowe's. We'll get that out in a little bit. I'm not going to worry about painting too much of this. I might paint that edge right there of the new wood. But everything up here will get white as well. Before I get too carried away, I do want to clean off this drip edge as I go. Because I'm going to go ahead and freshen that up as well. I'm going to keep going and we'll come back when this is ready for some blue. I've got one coat of white on the fascia board in the back side of it. Now I'm ready to start getting some of this regular color on. This is called Cobalt Canyon and it is Valspar from Lowe's. Let's get going. So even though this is going to get trimmed out, that's an up and coming video how to trim out the corners on this T1-11, I still want to get some paint on here. So I'm going to use a brush just to fill in all the gaps and get all of this filled in, and I'll roll it as I go. There's nothing better than some good weather protection. And it always makes me feel better when the paint starts going on, the project starts to come together, things start to divide with different colors, and it brings it to life. I've got a good nappy roller because there's some texture here. Like I say, as I go, I'll just take my brush, fill in these areas, run over it again. I'm going to keep painting and we'll come back and take a look when this is all done. I'm still painting, believe it or not. I've already used up a gallon, but I got some cracks here that I'm just not happy with. I did not see these, or maybe not pay attention to them until I started painting. But I want to get these filled in, and then I will just touch it up with some paint once I'm finished. Now I'll just take my squeegee and clean this off. Any excess that I have, I'll move over to the next crack. I wish I would have seen these first, but these things happen. I'm going to work my way around and make sure that I've got all the cracks filled in before I continue painting anymore. I've got all the cracks I could see caulked. When I get the other side painted, maybe more stuff will show up. But I'm also finding some areas now that the paint has dried, kind of like this, where you can see that the paint didn't cover the wood. I see a little bit like right here. I see some down through here. So I'll get that stuff taken care of. A gallon of paint covered this wall and most of this wall. I've caulked in these areas right here. And I still have the entirety of this wall to do. My fascia board and up here has 3 coats on it now. I'm happy with that. We're going to call that good. Now it's just getting the rest of this on. So I'm going to keep painting and we'll come back and take a look. I just exhausted my first gallon of paint. I got 2 sides done and this little bit right here, and of course around this window out of that first gallon. I am going to tape off the edges of my window, and I'm not sure if it'll pick it up or not, but if you look up here you'll see that the knots have bled through. When I built these windows I used primer on them with stain blocker to prevent that from happening, but it has happened anyway. I'm a little bummed out about that. Let's get some tape on here. Well, that wasn't supposed to happen. With that all taped off, I can paint away. Makes life easy going along these edges. I'm going to keep painting. We'll take a look in a little bit. All the painting that I can currently do is complete. I still need to paint the brown white up top, but I'll do that when I put the trim on. That'll be another video when we trim this thing out. I still have this wall to do and this window to put in, but it's more of the same, so I'm not going to make a video doing that. The other side is looking very nice. I am going to replace this door, and I will do a video on that. This side is finished. And the back side is finished. It's all coming together real nice. I'm liking how it's looking. Just got to get some trim on, get those finishing touches on it, and it will be looking really good. That's all we got for this time. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider doing so. Also, down below the video, you can find my merchandise store. Have t-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee cups, all kinds of cool stuff. I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd check that out. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of those two videos. It's going to pop up next to me. And remember to always respect the power of your power tools. We'll see you soon.